In this video, I will do Firebase integration for Flutter application, and also I will be doing phone number authentication using Firebase as a backend. In other words, user will be able to log in into the application by using his phone number. I will be using BLoC for state management and to keep the clean architecture of project. So let's get started. First of all, we need to integrate the Firebase with this project. And for that, I will go to my browser. And from here, you need to go to the firebase.google.com. And from here, click on go to console. And there you will get an option to create a project. So I will add a new project. I will name it Magic Diary. Whatever project name, write on here. And also you can add multiple application to a single project. So it's not only related to the application that we are going to use Firebase on, but it's more than that. You can add multiple application with a single project, and all of the application will be using the same Firebase project. So click on continue, and from here uncheck it for now. And all of these services you can enable anytime whenever you need from the project setup. Click create project, and here you have your project dashboard. And I'm going to add an Android app, and here we need to paste our package name. So let's get that from Android Studio. And for that you have to go to the Android folder, and from here app folder, and then src, and then main, and here you will get this Android manifest.xml. Click on it, and here you will get your package name. Select your package name and copy it from here, and go back to your browser and paste it on here. And here you can give any nickname to your app, and it's Magic Diary, so I will write the same name. And here to perform the authentication, we need to register our SHA1 code. Let's go back to the IDE to get this code, and for that you have to go to the terminal. And here I will go to the Android directory, cd android, and then /gradle w space sign in report, and press enter. And in a few moments you will get the SHA1 and SHA256. We are going to use this SHA256 also, just because if you are doing phone authentication, which is related to OTP, that whenever the user will tap on login, Firebase will send 6-digit code to his phone number. And for that purpose, we also need this SHA256. And first let's copy this SHA1 code, and later we will add this SHA256 also. And let's go back to the browser and paste it on here and register application. And you need to download this google services.json. Go get this file from downloads folder, and here we have this file. Let's copy it, and we need to paste this file inside our app folder. And this file contains all of the information related to your Firebase and your Flutter application. And let's go back to the browser and click next. And now we need to add this class path in our project level build.gradle file. Copy it from here, and let's go back to the IDE. And here we are talking about project level build.gradle. So close this app folder, and here you will get this build.gradle file. Open it and paste that code on here. And now go back to your IDE browser, and here you will need to copy this line. And now we need to paste this line inside app level gradle.build. So now we need this build.gradle, and paste this file on here right after this apply plugin, and change this ID to apply and space plugin, and take care of the indentation. It should be right after this line, and indentation should be correct. So let's go back to the browser and click next. And we are done with everything. Click on continue to console, and I will enable authentication for this project. And from here we need to click on get started, and I want to enable email and password authentication. And also now I want to enable another one. So I will click on add new provider, and I will enable this phone authentication also, just because we are going to implement phone authentication in our app. So we need this auth provider, or you can say sign in method. save it. So now we need to go to the settings. I guess we need to go to the project setting, and here you will see we have added one SHA code, one fingerprint. We need to add another one for phone authentication, which is going to be 256. So I will add this one this time, SHA 256. Copy it from here, and let's go back to your browser and paste it on here, and this time it's SHA 256. Save it and go back to your project overview, and now we have this magic diary app registered into our project. So now whenever the user will log in, you will be able to see that user on here in users collection. So let's go back to our Android Studio. Just because we have implemented Firebase, we need to add some third-party libraries also. So to get those libraries, let's go back to the browser, and I will write Firebase core pubdev, and from here you will get Firebase core package. Copy it from here, and let's go back to the Android Studio, and you need to paste this package inside this pubspec.yaml right after this Cupertino icons. And let's go back to browser again, and this time we need Firebase Auth library, and here you will get this library also, and paste it after this one. And also we need, as we are going to use BLoC for state management and project architecture, we need to add BLoC library also. So I will write Flutter BLoC pubdev, and here you will get this package. Click on it, and from here copy it and go back to your Android Studio and paste it on here. That's it, I guess. Click on pubget, and now go to your main file. On here I will make this function, this main function, async. Here you need to write widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized, and then I will wait for Firebase initialization. Here you will say Firebase dot, but we need to import this Firebase library, initialize app, and that's it. We are all done, and let's test if we have integrated the Firebase correctly. Let's run the application. Let me actually restart the application to see if it's actually working. Okay, we have successfully integrated Firebase with this project, and just because there is no error. And now we will set up BLoC, and I will let you know how to use the blocks. And for that, right click on this view model folder and click create a new dart file, and I will create actually we need to create another folder inside this view model, just because we are going to create blocks for different screens, so it must be separated. I will name it login block, and inside this login block I will create another dart file. I will name it login events, and in this class I will write all of my events, and create another file, name it login states, and another one, and you can name it login block. Okay, let's create events first. First of all, we need to create a parent class. I will name it login events, and also I will create a constructor for this class, and it will be abstract just because we don't need this class object. We are just creating this class as a parent class for all the events that we are going to use for this screen. And here we have the constructor, and let's create another events. Let's go to the login screen, and here we have only one event, which is login event basically. And for that, whenever the user will click on this login button, actually we are asking Firebase to send an OTP, one-time password, to user's phone number. So for that we need to create an event. So I will create another class on here, send OTP to phone event, and I will extend the main parent class. And now we need a number on here just because the user will send number to Firebase, and Firebase will send an OTP to that number, whatever number you are writing in this text field. And also we need a constructor for this, and inside this constructor I will take a phone number from user. So now let's create another file inside repository. I will name it auth model. And now I will keep all of the request response handling functions inside this class. I will name it auth model. And here we need to initialize Firebase auth class. Firebase auth, I will name it authentication. Firebase auth dot instance. And also we need a Firebase user on here. This user is actually a Firebase user. Whatever user will be logged in into the application, that user object will be saved inside this user. So I will name it Firebase user. And also we need Firebase Firestore object on here to store the user data after login into our backend. So for that we need another library, Firebase Firestore pubdev, and click on this link, copy this package from here and go back to your Android Studio and paste it on here, and click on pubget once again. And let's go back to our auth model. Now we will have access to our Firebase Firestore, and we need to initialize Firebase Firestore. Here we have that. And I will name it database just because we are going to use Firestore as a database backend for our project. I will initialize it Firebase Firestore.instance. That's it. And here I need to create some functions. First one, I will create a function to log in user into the application with phone number. Its data type will be future of void, and I will name it login with phone. And also we need some parameters on here, and it's going to be async also. First one, we need required string phone number, of course. And another one required, here we need a function which will accept phone auth credentials, and I will name it verification completed. And another one we need on here which is also required, and it's going to be a function which will accept Firebase auth exception in case of some error. So I will name it verification failed. And another one we need on here, another function actually, and it will accept two parameters, string and integer, and I will name it code sent. And another one, it will accept a string only, code auto retrieval timeout. And that's it. Let's get to our function body, and here we need to call verify phone number method from Firebase. So for that we already have authentication object that we created on here, and if you press dot after that, you will get this verify phone number method, which will accept all of these parameters that we are initializing on here. Here I will say code auto retrieval timeout. Okay, so we are done with this function, and let's get back to our events class, and let's create another event on here. I will name it on phone OTP sent, and I will extend the parent class, and here we need two variables. We will add this event whenever we are expecting OTP from Firebase. So we need two variables on here. First one would be verification ID, and second one would be a token And also we need constructor for this class required this dot verification ID, and also we need this dot token. And that's it, we are done with this event also. And now we need another event. When Firebase will send OTP to user, we will add this event that I'm going to create. I will name it verify send OTP. Now we need another event. I will name it verify send OTP, and it will extend the parent class login events. And this we will add this event when a user has received an OTP from Firebase, and now whenever the user will press on send OTP or login, then we will add this event. Firebase will verify the OTP and it will log in the user to dashboard. So final string OTP code. Here we also have OTP, just because we are sending this OTP back to Firebase for verification. And also we need verification ID on here. And I will create constructor for this class also. And we need another one. We will add this event in case of error. Whenever there is something wrong, or Firebase is getting a wrong credential from the user, then we will add this event. I will name it on phone auth error event. And I will extend parent class login events, and here we need only one string. That would be an error coming from Firebase, and I will create constructor for this one also on phone auth error event. And here we need required this dot error. And now we need the last one, which will be added in case of successful authentication. And after that, Firebase will send the user from this page to home page of application. And I'm going to create another one. And here we need auth credentials. Just because now in case of successful authentication, we will have the final credentials of the user. And required this dot auth credentials, and that's it. We are done with event class. And let's go to the states class, and we need to create states that in return of every event, BLoC will send a state, and depending upon that state we can make our next decision. So for that we need to create a states class, just like we created an events class. I will create another abstract class. I will name it login states. And inside this class I need another constant constructor. And after that I need to create a class login screen loading state, which will extend its parent login states. And this class will remain empty. We will just add this state whenever user will tap on login and we are sending request to server, and we have to wait for the response. So in the meantime we will display loading on screen with help of this login screen loading state. And let's create another one, login screen initial state. This state will invoke when we are not sending any events. Initially we will add this state. It will extend its parent login states. It will also remain empty. And let's create another one. And login screen loaded state will be invoked when user is successfully logged in into the application. So depending upon that, we will be able to make decisions that how we are handling the user after login. This state will remain empty also, just because we don't need anything to send on the screen for now. And let's create another state which will be an error state in case of user is getting error from Firebase or backend, or by entering wrong credentials. Then we can invoke this state, and this state will bring an error to user interface. And here we need an error string, and also it will be required, so let me create a constructor for that. Two more states for specialized for phone authentication. First one will be phone auth code sent state. When OTP will be sent, then we will invoke this state. And in this state we need verification ID, and it will be string. And also we need a constructor because it's going to be required. And finally we need another one, sign up screen OTP success state. When we will figure out that OTP is correct, login states, and it will remain empty. And we are done with events, states, and creating a function in auth model class for a login with phone. And now let's go to BLoC class and let's create our BLoC, and I will name it login BLoC, and it's going to extend BLoC library. And this BLoC library will accept two things, events and states. So we already have login events class, which is the parent data type, and whatever events we have, all of those events are extending this class. So this way all of the events will be recognizable through this class. And also we need login states, and let's create brackets on here. And now we need to override a constructor of BLoC for our events. And here we need to make decision what event is coming from the user interface, and depending upon that decisions we will send states from BLoC to UI. Here I need following variables: string login result, it will be an empty string. And other than that, I need auth model class object, just because we need to access the function from auth model class. And we need to import a library. Other than that, we need user credentials object, and we also need to import this. It's coming from Firebase Authentication. Now whenever the user will click on the login page, we will get the phone number from email text field, and we will send it to the Firebase. On this button click, we will send OTP to phone event, this one that we just created, this one. And we need to check in the BLoC if this event is coming from UI, then what we are going to do. Also one bracket is missing on here. Okay, so here you will see this on method, and I will remove this and I will make body brackets on here, and I will put the semicolon after that. And here I will check on send OTP to phone event. When this event is coming from UI, then first of all I will emit loading state, this one. just because whenever in the meantime that we are sending request to server and we are waiting for the response, we will display loading on the screen, on login screen. And after that, I will try, and in the catch we will catch the error if any is coming from Firebase. And in the try section, I will await for the response whatever we are going to do. And for that we also need to make this function async, and I will call auth model object that I created on here to access this function. And now this function is asking for the following properties. In the phone number, I will take phone number from an event which is coming from the user interface, and I will put that number on here. And if you see all of the events, then here we have this number. So we can get this number from event, just because BLoC will receive an event, and depending upon that, BLoC will send state. So I will say event dot number, and on verification completed, I will create an anonymous function. I will say phone auth credential. I will name it credentials, and inside this function I will add on phone auth verification completed event, and I will pass these credentials to this credentials property. And on verification failed, again I will create an anonymous function, and I will take Firebase auth exception. I will name it E, and I will create function body, and I will add another event which is going to be invoke in error case, and that we just created on phone auth error event. And we will pass this e.toString on here. In a code sent, again we need a function on here, and we need some parameters. First one will be verification ID, and second one will be refresh token. And I will create function body, and inside this function body I will add another event on phone OTP send, and here we will pass this verification ID and refresh token. And now we have one parameter left. Here we will take a string. I will name it verification ID, and I will leave this method empty. And in the catch section, just because in the catch if there is any error, we will catch that error in this part. So here again I will emit error state, and we will pass this e.toString on here. Whatever error is coming from backend will be stored inside this e. And now we are done with this event, and now let's go to the other event. And here we need to override another on function, and here I will check on phone OTP sent, just because we are sending this event on here, code sent event, so we will handle that event on here. Whatever event is being added, we can handle that event inside this BLoC. I will emit phone auth code sent success state. It will ask for verification ID, so we already have that in this event here. So that's it for this one, and let's close this one also, and let's override on for another event. This event will be verify send OTP. When the user received OTP and we are sending back that OTP to Firebase for verification, then we will send this event. Here I will try and catch the error on here, and in the try body I will take phone auth credentials, and I will assign phone auth provider dot credentials, and it will ask for verification ID, so we can get that verification ID from event. And also we need to pass SMS code, which is basically the OTP, and we can also get that from event just because now we have that code. And after that I will add another event on here, which is on phone authentication, on phone auth verification completed event, and it will ask for the credential, and I will pass these credentials on here. And in case of error, I will emit error state, pass this e.toString, whatever coming from backend. And now we are done with this event also. Let's create another one. This one is going to be phone auth error event, just because we have not handled this yet, this one. And I will convert it to function body, and here I will emit login screen error state, and we will get the error from event. And also we are done with this one. Let's create another one. This is going to be the last event, and you know very well this is on phone authentication completed event. And also I will wrap whatever code I'm writing in try catch to catch the error coming from backend. And also this is going to be async, and I will try await auth model dot authentication dot sign in with credentials. And now we need credentials on here which are coming from event, so we can get those credentials on here. And dot then I will emit finally sign up screen OTP success state, and right after that I will emit login screen loaded state, just because we are done with everything. And in the catch section again I will emit error state, and we need error on here, so I will say e.toString. So that's it, we are done with BLoC. Now let's go back to our UI, and we can send event from UI now, and we can also decorate our page according to the scenario. Here we have the login screen. And now I want to tell you one thing, that if you are logging in with the phone number, then you don't need password field on here, just because the phone number authentication is already secured with OTP. Whenever the user will try to log in, Firebase will send an OTP to his mobile number, so he will be able to get the code from there every time. So we don't need this password field on here in case you are logging in with phone number. If you are logging in with email, then we need this password field. So what I'm gonna do on here, in case of phone number I will hide this password field, and in case of email we can appear this password field again. So for that, first of all I will change the hint enter your email to enter your email or phone. And also I'm gonna listen to this email field in the init state email controller dot add listener. And in this listener I can listen whatever user is writing on the text field on a runtime. So I can say if email controller dot text dot contains @ then we will display password field, otherwise we will not display the password text field. And to make it invisible and visible on runtime, I need a boolean variable on here. I will say is phone. So in the start it will be false. So if is phone is true, then we will not display this password field. So I will set state on here, and I will say is phone is equal to false in case there is @ in this email text field. Otherwise I will again call set state, and I will make is phone true. So now we need to wrap our password text field inside visibility widget, and for that I need to wrap this line widget, this sized box, and this text field, all of these widgets inside a column. And now let's see. Yeah, it's perfect. And now we have a single column on here, so I can wrap this whole column inside visibility. And in the visible property I will call that variable that we just created is phone, And now I want to do one correction on here. I will just change this variable name to is email instead of phone number, is phone. So initially it will be false, and here I will make this email variable true if it contains @. If it doesn't contain @, then we will make it false. And also we need to change the name in visibility widget. And let's run the project again. And now here we have only this email field, and until and unless I will not write @, it will not display password field. Whenever you will write @, password field will be visible on here. For example, I'm writing Shahroz, and when I will write @, this password field will be visible. If you remove @, password field will be invisible again. So we are done with this. Now let's make it work for real authentication. And for that I need to target this login button. Here we have this login button and we have this btn text. Let me go back to my custom widget, and instead of this btn text, now I will accept widget on here. I will name it btn text, and I will apply a condition on here. If btn text is equal to null, then show this one. And also you need to make it nullable, and here we can check if btn text is null, then we will show this text widget. Otherwise we will show the widget which is coming from the user interface. I will copy this whole text widget from here, and I will go back to my login screen, and here I will call that btn text widget and I will paste it on here. Now instead of this btn text, I will write login. Now we need to wrap this whole text widget in BLoC consumer. Here we have BLoC consumer. In the build section, I will check if state that is coming from the BLoC is login screen loading state. If it's loading state, then I will return center, and inside this center I will take a size box, and it will be of height 50 and width also 50, and its child is going to be circle progress indicator, just because if there is a loading state, then we will display loading inside this button instead of this login text. And in the else part, I will return that text that I just copied. And now let's implement listener, and in this listener we will be able to listen the states coming from BLoC. And we have one error on the screen. Let me check what's wrong. Yeah, semicolon is missing on here just because we are returning this widget. Okay. Let me format the code for you. And in the listener part, I will check if state is login screen loaded state. Then we will navigate the user from this screen to home page. And to put other checks, we need to make our BLoC object in a state class. So I will call login BLoC. Login BLoC is equal to login BLoC, and it will ask for the initial state. So we will pass the initial state on here. Here we have the initial state that we created in our states class. And now I will check else if state is login screen error state. Then I will display a snack bar on screen. I will take whatever error is coming from the state and I will display that on here in the snack bar, and we will put another condition, else if state is phone auth code send success state. When Firebase has sent you the OTP on your mobile number, then we need to put that OTP into the dialog box, and this way we will return that OTP to Firebase for verification. So I will call show dialog, and in the builder I will return a widget that I want to display on screen, and here I will return alert dialog. Title will be text widget, and here I will ask the user to please enter OTP, and in content I will take a text field. And now we need to create another controller for OTP text field. I will say OTP controller. And I will initialize this controller on here. And also we need to dispose this controller on here. And now in the controller property, I will pass this controller, and in decoration, I will take input decoration, and I will write the hint text, enter OTP. Let me format the code for you. And in actions, we will show an elevated button, and child will be text. I will write submit on here, and in this on pressed method we will send verify send OTP event, just because now we got the OTP from Firebase and now we need to send back that OTP to Firebase for verification purpose. So I will call my login block object dot add, and I will add verify send OTP, and it will ask me for verification ID that is coming from state. So I will pass that verification ID from here on here, and OTP code. Also we need the OTP code, and we can get that OTP code from OTP controller. And after that I will call navigator.pop. So once the user will click on it, we will send OTP to Firebase for verification, and I will close the dialog. And now let's go to the on press method of this button. Here we have BTN text. Let me close this block consumer, and here we have on tap. And on tap, now we will not send the user to home page. Instead we will add an event to block, and again I will call login block object dot add, and I will add send OTP to phone event, and we need a number on here, so I will call my email controller, just because if there is no @ then it's number of course, and we can get whatever written in the email field from this email controller and text. So this way whenever the user will click on login button, we will take this phone number from email field, email or phone number field, and we will send that event to Firebase. And in the consumer, if you see, and Firebase will send this state back to the screen, and with the OTP code. And whenever the user will receive this OTP code, from here he will send that OTP code back to Firebase, and Firebase will verify that OTP code, and we will get loaded state. And whenever the user will get the loaded state, it will automatically navigate from this screen to the home page. And one thing is missing on here is we need to give type to our block consumer. And first of all, it wants the block that we are using on the screen. It's login block, of course. And another one, we need to pass login states. the states consumer is going to listen. And also we need to pass the block object on here in the block property, login block. That's not the object. Yeah, login block, this one. Now before moving to the output part, if you remember when we created this static user interface, I applied some validations on this email text field, just because before we were expecting only email from the user. But now in our case scenario, user can enter either phone number or email also. And for that, I will remove this validation from here. We don't need this now, just because user can enter phone number or email, whatever he wants on a runtime. And also I will remove the validation from here. And here we need to make the flow dynamic. If user is entering an phone number, then we will proceed to login with OTP process. And if user is entering his email, then we will display the password field, and we will also ask for password from the user, and that I will handle in the next tutorial. But for now I'll put a check on here. If email controller dot text dot contains plus sign, just because whenever you will enter phone number, then with the country code plus sign will be required. So we will proceed with this process, and else we will log in with email. And how to do login with the email and phone number, I will teach you in the next tutorial. And now there is one correction that we need to do. For that we need to go to the auth model class, and here we have this login with phone function, and I forget to add phone number on here. And in the phone number property, I will just add the phone number that we are taking in parameter, this one. That's it. We are done with phone authentication with Firebase. And also do not forget to increase your minimum SDK version. For that, go to your Android directory and then into app folder, and here you will get this build.gradle file, minimum SDK version, select it and make it 21. Firebase. Now let me show you the output on my real device, just because I cannot run this application on emulator. So I will attach my phone with my laptop and I will show you the output on my real device. That's it for this tutorial. If you still have any confusions, you can ask me in the comment sections, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.